Hey, everybody. Super exciting topic today around the world of AI in the enterprise and AI agents with Smith OS. Michael, how are you?
Evan, I'm good, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well, enjoying the last few days, weeks of summer. Really interested, intrigued by your team and mission. Maybe start by introducing yourself and what's the big idea behind Smith OS.
Yeah, of course, and I appreciate you having me on. So my name's Michael. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer here at SmythOS, and I'd say the 10,000 foot view, what we do is we've built the first operating system that's built for artificial intelligence. So SmythOS is a place where you can connect any of your AI applications, large language models, and any of your favorite traditional SaaS applications like CRMs, ESPs, you name it. Really anything with an API endpoint, you can bring all that together inside of SmythOS and build pretty much any workflow for your business end to end without the need to code or intensive development cycles. So you can build complicated and intensive AI workflows very quickly inside of SmythOS.
Well, sounds intriguing. What was the genesis of the idea? What were the sort of challenges you were looking to solve when you guys started embarked on this route?
Yeah, so our previous product, so sort of the predecessor, if you will, to SmythOS, and really the story goes back to around 2015, 2016, when our founders and sort of the brains behind SmythOS, if you will, they were building AI tools sort of internally to use for servicing their clients. So they were working in the enterprise SEO space. They were servicing some of the largest companies in the world handling their SEO. And so they were building different internal AI tools to help make their jobs better. Over time, that sort of progressed naturally as it does. And eventually that became what previously was called Ink for All, which is a generative AI tool. Now, this was pre-ChatGPT release, right? So at the time, there wasn't quite as much generative AI. And this tool was built for SEOs and for SEO marketing. So it would not only write content similar to other Gen AI tools or like ChatGPT does today, but it would also help you analyze your SEO scores or how well your content would rank compared to other content out there on the market based on various ranking factors from Google.
Hmm.
Then came, and I think this was probably the catalyst for a lot of today's AI companies. Then came the launch of ChatGPT a couple of years ago, right? And at that point, most Gen AI products had sort of realized, hey, we've got a lot of competition coming into this space with OpenAI. But when we saw that, our CTO and really the visionary behind Smith, Alexander Day Ritter, he said, hey, I think pretty soon there's going to be a lot of these different AI tools, Gen AI products, and at some point there's going to be the LLM wars, right? Similar to like the CRM wars and that sort of thing. But eventually they're going to need to talk to each other, and people are going to want to use more than one LLM, more than one generative AI tool, so that they can use one that's great at content writing, one that's great at email, one that's great at data analysis, et cetera, so on and so forth. And so that was when the idea of SmythOS was really born. Was what if we built the system that could help you connect all of these tools and large language models together so that they could work and cooperate with one another rather than just building sort of siloed or vertical AI solutions. So that was really the catalyst for what is now SmythOS.
Oh, fascinating. So you talk in terms of orchestration of multiple applications. Maybe walk us through a typical customer engagement. You have lots of great reviews on, all the Capteras and G2s of the world. How are developers or agencies, enterprises using you and SmithOS today? What are a few popular scenarios?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll start by saying there's about as typical of a SmythOS user use case as there is a typical let's say internet marketing use case. And I think that's one of the cool things is the solutions are as unique as the companies and the people who build those companies, and that's cool to see. But generally speaking, what a lot of people want to do is pair a well-known and rooted let's say SaaS application, take a CRM for example, and pair that with the AI power that they see from these different large language models like Anthropic and Claude, or OpenAI and ChatGPT. So let's say, and this is something we do internally, let's say, for example, you wanted to be able to transcribe a sales call with one of your AI recording. We use a software called TLDV. There's
Mm.
other ones out there like Otter and Fireflies. Let's say you wanted to record all of your sales calls. Then afterwards, you would have the AI transcribe that, and you would feed that to an LLM that's trained on your business, right? It understands sales objections and objection handling and qualification parameters and all of that sort of stuff. The AI would go in and read the transcription, and it would kind of give you a grade on each one of those areas. And then it can give you, let's say, a percentage likelihood to close. It can give you a lead score based on that information. And then it can send all of that data back into your CRM. In our case, let's say HubSpot. So all of that kind of administrative work that salespeople typically have to do inside of your CRM, log the call notes, what was the call about, what was this individual concerned about, what were their main points that they wanted us to address, did it go well, did it not go well, all of those sort of things. We can now take the transcript from the AI call recording software, use Smith to pass that over to an LLM like a ChatGPT or a Claude Sonnet, analyze that, come up with all the information we need, and then send that back over into the CRM. So it just reduces so much of that time in between the time you would take a sales call and then the time you would be able to start working on either a proposal or a follow-up email or whatever that may be.
Yeah, super powerful. Many of us have been using basic automation scenarios for some time. If then do this, and low code or no code kind of solutions that are pretty lightweight. But you're talking about AI agents, so walk us through how this approach you think is sort of the next wave or next level of true AI in the enterprise.
Yeah, of course. So this is, that example I gave you is one of many that would be kind of a construct as a singular agent, right? An agent trained to do one specific thing: analyze a call, tell me what you think, put it into the CRM. What we're really focused on, and what we believe is what we call Workforce 3.0, is the ability to coordinate multiple agents so that they can collaborate and accomplish larger projects. So
Wow.
let's say, for example, in a similar situation, you could also pull in your marketing agent who could take all the insights learned from that sales call and then create marketing material that could be created for a follow-up in an account-based marketing campaign, for example. Or an agent that could then go do research to help answer some of the questions that were asked by the prospect on a sales call, something of that nature. That is the true power of AI orchestration. And that's what we're really focused on, is one platform where, regardless of where you build your large language models, what applications you're using, and what singular agents you build, you can bring all these together to call upon one another, to understand which agents need to be involved to work in a particular project, to learn from one another, and to really allocate amongst themselves in an efficient manner how to get things done. And so that the true multi-agent systems and the AI orchestration, that is what I really think is going to be the future of not just enterprises, but businesses across the world, be it solopreneurs and entrepreneurs and SMBs, all the way up to the largest enterprises on the planet.
Wow, so compelling. And looking at your website here, you talk about hundreds of thousands of integrations, combining any AI model and any tool, any workflow, any data source, and you have a long, long laundry list of integrations. Super impressive. How does that work? And how have you built that database? And what's next as far as being anywhere all the time in terms of AI models?
Yeah, so the starting point for the integrations was when we started building Smith, we felt very strongly that for a platform and a tool like us to succeed, it needs to be accessible to more than just experienced developers, right? More than just the people who know how to write the code and to build something in, let's say, an open source environment. That's why we focus so much on the integration library as well as our template library. So all of the major ESPs, SMS software, data lakes, Airtable, Google Drive, CRMs, we've pre-built not only the integration endpoints for all those components, but all the actions within each of those integrations. So, for example, in Google Drive, you can ask it to get data or to post data. You can ask it to search. You can ask it to pull folders. Those aren't things that you have to go in and code yourself. And what that means is that everyone from a development background to an operational or sales background now has the ability to utilize and even customize those agents because they don't have to know how to develop them themselves. And then our template marketplace is an area where we've pre-built what we think are some of the most common use cases for AI agents. So somebody can come in, get started very quickly, utilize the template they think is going to be most valuable to them, simply enter their authentication if it's for a secondary application, or customize the workflow to their liking, and then they can just deploy and start using the agent without having to start from scratch. So to us, I think what's next is just to expand upon sort of that marketplace side, which is the integrations, the template libraries, and just continue to make a tool as accessible to the operations and HR and finance managers as it is to development leaders across large organizations.
Wow, that would be super exciting. And where are we in those enterprises, your typical customers with AI adoption and usage? We hear a lot of hype, but where do you think we are actually with not just your platform, but others in terms of real world adoption and usage, deployment, et cetera?
Yeah, it's interesting because particularly on the enterprise side, every enterprise has a board of directors who's saying, what are we doing in terms of AI, right? Whether they even fully understand the implications or the applications of it or not, it's on the top of every board list, which means it's on the top of every CEO list, which means it's on the top of all of our lists, right? It comes from the top down. What we see though is that we're very early on in the AI lifecycle. It wasn't but a couple of years ago that most people even saw AI as a viable option to bring into a business. And really within the last 6 to 12 months that these idea of agents rather than singular LLMs have even come into common conversation. So I think we're still really early, but I think people are learning every day. And again, I think the more you're able to bring the non-technical stakeholders into those conversations, I think the faster we're going to see that adoption across every sort of company, because there's just such wide range use cases, right, and benefits that can be driven from a efficiency and an ROI standpoint that is going to affect far more than just technical and development leaders.
Yeah, interesting insight. So there's a big debate online in the media around impact of AIs, some claiming it's more of, a vanity sort of question, doing stuff that looks good, but not much practical utility. Others say, well, it's just about cutting jobs and reducing costs. Others say, well, it's more about empowering, employees with, super skills and co-pilots. Maybe they're all true, but where do you see this question, about professionals using AI, and what are the potential opportunities and, challenges in the enterprise?
Yeah, it's a great question, Evan. You touched on something there that we spend a lot of time thinking about, and that I think we're doing a pretty good job of staying ahead of, and that's, what does this mean to most of us out there who maybe aren't technically inclined? We're not developers, right? What does that mean? I'm a marketer. I think marketing is probably the first department up on the chopping block when it comes to artificial intelligence, because it's great at writing, right? It's great at thinking. It's great at coming up with ideas, helping you brainstorm. It's great at analyzing data. That's a lot of what we do. But I think to me, there's something to be said about the anxiety levels that people feel for it. It's new, right? And anytime there's something new, it gives us a reason to feel more anxiety because we don't understand it. That's why a big focus for us at SmythOS is really bridging the gap between anxiety and true empowerment of artificial intelligence. And one of the ways in which we do this is through education. So we've launched what's called the SmythOS Academy, where we take people through an introductory course of what are LLMs, right? What is AI? What are AI agents? How can we use it? How does it benefit the business? A lot of kind of the basic concepts. And then we move into more of what we call our MACE programs, or multi-agent systems engineering. And that's really just a fancy way of saying, how can I build agents and how can I bring them together to talk to one another and build something really cool? And so we think that, similar to the CRM space today, most people within an organization are familiar with it, right? They can go in, create a contact, create workflows, send emails. But if
Mm.
you went back, 10, 15, 20 years ago, it was brand new. You had to pay somebody 20, 30, $40,000 as a Salesforce consulting individual to come help you set it up. It's just a lack of knowledge. And so we're really working hard to bring that education to the forefront so that everybody can understand, you know what, this really isn't that scary. This is just one more thing that I need to learn and understand. And then I think the future looks really, really good for the people who kind of see that for what it is and realize that as long as I can learn this, then I can harness it to my own advantage. And it really future proofs your career in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, well done. Can't wait to check it out. Maybe talk about the role of leadership, business leaders, and other leaders in the companies you work with in this process. They're probably not going to sign up for a course or necessarily even get their hands dirty with SmythOS, but what is their role and some of the challenges they need to think about beyond just reading the Wall Street Journal articles about it every day?
Yeah, I think at the highest level, it's first really understanding what are we getting into and what do we need to achieve here, right? So it's looking at what we kind of call an AI readiness assessment. Are we ready to do this? If we are, what leaps do we need to make? What considerations do we have to keep in mind? And there's a lot there, right? It could be ethical considerations, security concerns, data privacy, but just really understanding where you are in your current state and then what that future state needs to look like for your business. And then I think number two is just fostering an environment for your organization and for your employees to really be able to embrace and learn it. Making sure that you have the right guardrails in place so that your individuals aren't off using their own, let's say, individual ChatGPT accounts,
Mm.
right, or Claude accounts, because your employees are most likely going to use it in their day to day. So being able to institute that at an organizational level really has a lot of benefits because you can encourage and sort of nurture your employees' understanding and capabilities there, and at the same time, you're doing a lot to dissuade a lot of those security risks of people kind of downloading data and using it in public models on ChatGPT or in Anthropic or Google Gemini or whatever it may be. So I think as long as leaders keep those considerations in mind, it's really there's so much potential and ROI on the value that it's incredible.
It is incredible. So how does, one get started? Either, a small business like myself, who I use 6, 7 different Gen AI tools in my media business here, or a, large enterprise. How do they get started? What are the first 1, 2, 3 steps to kind of embark on this journey?
Yeah, I think from a general sense, I'll remove I'll take the SmythOS CMO hat off for a second. I
Hmm.
think number one is similar to the organizational leader perspective. Just really get a good understanding of what you're trying to accomplish. It's like anything else. If you just kind of dive in without thinking too much about it and really thinking of what you want to get out of it, there's so many rabbit holes that you can go down, right? Trying to understand LLMs and NLPs and what is an API and what are the different security models. Like there's really a lot that can be distractions. I think number one is understanding, how can I use AI best to make me better at whatever it is I'm doing as an employee, as an individual, as a small business owner. And then from there, understanding, okay, what are the starting points? So if I'm looking to get into conversational AI, for example, so that I can handle phone calls better and text messages better, and I can have quicker response time with my customers or customer service, that's going to go a really, really long way. Because then you get to learn some of these tools from the ground up. You can read a lot on forums and things like that, but it's that self-education piece, number one. Number two, I think, is then always consider scale first. You don't want to go into buying different AI tools and getting involved with different AI models without considering, well, what if I scale 3x or 6x or 20x in a year from now? Like, are these tools and other things I'm learning going to be able to support that that growth in a sustainable way. And not every tool that's on the market is able to do that, right? And so that's a very important consideration. So similar to the previous answer, I think as long as you go in knowing here's what I want to get out of it, then I think it's a much easier pathway to understanding here's where I should go to find the right information.
Wow, exciting times. So we're just the final few days of August here. What are you looking forward to as we get into the busy fall season? What's on your radar for the next few months, year? What's exciting?
If you ask me about a year ahead, I'll tell you I have no idea. This market moves so fast. I sometimes don't know what next week's going to bring, let alone next year. But from an organizational standpoint, SmythOS is launching a lot of amazing features at the end of the month. It's what I kind of call SmythOS version 2.0. And we've gone about 10 steps ahead, I would say, from today being a really great tool for enterprises and developers to SmythOS 2.0 being an amazing tool for anyone, anywhere,
Wow.
regardless of background. And we have a lot of really cool things coming out there that makes me excited. But also our academy. You know, I think we have we really think that companies like us have a social responsibility to lead the way in education. If you're going to build the tools that could potentially disrupt certain workforces and in the way that certain people work, I think the onus is on us to provide the education to go along with that. So I'm really excited in seeing the advancements in SmythOS Academy and how we're able to train people and even pilot programs that we'll be running on the ground across different educational institutions.
Well, fantastic. Well, congrats on that, and good luck in democratizing AI for the rest of us. Sounds exciting. Thanks, Michael.
Thanks, Evan.
All right.